Hello guys, back to my video, and today, well, a second video today, do my second part of my Christianity video. So yeah, it's continuing reacting to this Desiring God channel. So yeah.
John, do you accept old Earth and evolution?
Accept. Meaning, are there people on our council of elders who hold to old Earth? Yes. Meaning, is that my view? What I said the other day when we were talking about this, we spent probably an hour on this as a staff, talking about how we as a church should orient ourselves in the conversation of old Earth, young Earth. I said there seem to be two viable biblical views for me, and this is going to offend a lot.
Okay, so it's in the Bible, so therefore it's true. I'm not like trying to, humiliate Christianity here, but it's pretty obvious that, because it says so in the Bible, it's true. That's not the case.
A lot of people. One is young Earth, because it seems to me that the natural reading of Genesis 1 is 24-hour days, not day age. And two.
Okay, so it says so in the Genesis, therefore I believe that the Earth was made in 24 hours.
The view that John Sailhammer wrote in Genesis Unbounded, or in his other books, which says that all the creation happened in verses 1 and 2. It may be as old as 4 trillion years as far as he's concerned, and that what was happening.
4 trillion? Pretty sure it's 13.8 billion. But, yeah, let's continue.
In Genesis 1, each day was not the bringing into being of the earth and its various forms, but rather the ordering, the managing, the structuring of things, which allows for 24-hour days, but also allows for an old earth. I lean that way. I don't lean towards a kind of view that says, let's scrap that. I don't believe in evolution as the way that Adam came to be.
Okay, so Adam probably didn't even exist. But I know people have the rights to religious beliefs, but how can you not believe in evolution? Even microevolution, how can you not believe in that? So you're saying that over a short period of time or over a long period of time, animals can't adapt to their environment. Let's take for example a chameleon. A chameleon was designed to be camouflaged. Chameleons might not have always had those traits, but because of pressures on them, say predatory pressures, they would have changed. And I'm pretty sure there's loads of evidence for evolution, and it's pretty much commonly known now. It's not really a view, it's more of a proven fact.
Human. I think God created Adam from the dust of the ground. I think he...
Okay, so we came from the dust of the ground, then what is your problem with us being made from star stuff? Like, what part of us is made of ground? Man was made from the... Do you even have any evidence that Adam even existed here?
He was unique, and that he's the father of all humanity, Adam and Eve.
So if Adam and Eve are the father of all humanity, then they would have had children, and so we all came from incest. So sister and brothers had sex to create us. Is that what you're saying? Because the thing that actually happened was that a bacteria-like organism in the past, possibly or most likely in the sea, was an asexual reproduction, kept reproducing obviously until it became multicellular, and then they formed into more complex organisms. And obviously there would have been some sort of pressure to move off of the sea, and that would have made into some sort of other creature, all the way to primates in the past, not necessarily monkeys. And those monkeys evolved into, those primates evolved into what we know as humans today. We didn't just magically come from the dust and the ground. We came from, the main theory, I'm not saying the main theory, but like the one that I take as fact, is the panspermia one, which claims that meteorites from space caused some mechanism to happen under the ground and brought life along with it, such as bacteria that would have reproduced in the oceans and etc.
That he's not the product of long evolutionary process.
So, firstly, I'm going to say it again: does Adam even exist? And secondly, how can you say that it wasn't a long process? Do you have any evidence against that?
Yes, I can't make that jive with the way the text reads, and I think it's very.
Okay, so because it doesn't say so in the Bible, therefore I don't believe. You're very Bible-oriented, aren't you? Try and find some evidence other than the Bible. Just because, the Bible's there doesn't mean it's true. There's no evidence saying that it is because of God, or it is because of the people who have eyewitnesses of God. And it certainly has a lot of contradictions that you should see in your own Bible if you're so intent in reading it.
Very important that Adam be a historical figure, because that's the way he's treated by the other biblical writers. And
okay, because he's treated so by the biblical writers, that means that he was existed and there was a horror story. You're just taking everything as fact from the Bible. I don't think right now I should even be reacting to this video, because there's no substance or evidence at all. You're just saying, is this so in the Bible, therefore it's true? I think I've already proven what I said before about this claim.
And the heart passage in Romans 5 collapses, and the whole nature of God's making with Adam a covenant and then failing, and Christ being the second Adam, comes to naught if he's not a historical person.
Well, it doesn't have to come to naught. Just if Adam doesn't exist, Jesus doesn't exist. So what? We don't need Adam and Jesus to exist. And that's the most likely scenario here, is that they never existed, or if they did exist, they were normal people or inspirational historical figures that have nothing to do with the way that you're saying here. Now, I think I'm gonna go into next one, which is which one should we choose here? Okay. What made it okay for God? Okay, let's look at this.
Why was it right for God to slaughter women and children in the Old Testament? How can that ever be right?
It's right for God to slaughter women and children anytime he pleases.
Okay, so the standard of you really don't have any moral standards, do you? So God can rape as many women as he wants without their consent. Oh, because God did it, it's alright. Well, yeah, you're not evil.
God gives life and he takes life. Everybody.
Okay, so if I birth my own, so if I have a wife that gives birth to a child, they have the right to murder them. Is that what you're saying here? You're saying God created life, so therefore he must destroy life. I'm pretty sure when you reproduce, you're creating life. So does that give you the right to kill it? Like when a baby's born, oh, I can slaughter it because I created it. Like it doesn't work like that. Really, it doesn't. Moral standards. Unless you're just an insane person.
Who dies because God wills that they die. So God is taking life every day. He will take 50,000 lives today. Life is in God's hand. God decides when your last heartbeat will be.
But that's not really the argument he made. He didn't just kill them. He slaughtered them. And most times the accounts where I'm just taking, because you seem to take the Bible to heart, that they suffered to great pain. So does that justify God's actions in this case?
And whether it ends through cancer or whether it ends through...
Cancer is really painful, so if God really created that, then, like, God is really evil in your case.
A bullet wound,
God would still be evil for doing that. That also hurts.
God governs. So God is God. God rules and... God
is God. I think that's pretty obvious.
Governs everything. And everything he does is just and right and good. God...
Okay, so, God comes into your apartment or your house and decides to stick a metal rod up your arse and pull it through your neck, but not kill you and let you stay there in pain. Oh, it's just and right because God did it. I don't think you'd agree. If you were one of those people who suffer from cancer or being raped by God, I don't think that you would think the same.
Owes us nothing. If
And we shouldn't have to own him anything as well.
If I were to drop dead right now, or a suicide bomber downstairs were to blow this building up, and I would.
But God doesn't just it doesn't become like an eidolon. Like God doesn't just possess the suicide bomber and go, okay, it's time to blow up a building because these people, it's time for them to die. Like God doesn't will anything. If God does exist, He's all knowing. Everything is already predetermined.
Be blown to smithereens. God would have done me no wrong. He would have.
Would He have not? Of course He wouldn't. Because God wasn't the reason that someone suicide bombed you. Because the person has, consequences for his own actions. He was a suicide bomber. He's not God.
Done David no wrong. He does no wrong to anybody when he takes their life at age 2 weeks or at age 9.
At age 2 weeks? You want to kill a baby in pain? And God does it. It's just, I think this is really horrible. That, that Christianity can be disproven and some religions can be disproven. And they even have videos like this where they're justifying God raping and slaughtering people in the name of the Lord, even though the Lord can't even be proven to exist. So, yeah, it really says a lot about you as a person. I'm not saying all Christians agree with this, but obviously you do.
92. God is not beholden to us at all. He doesn't owe us anything. Now,
the parents not owe us anything. Parents obviously they don't owe us this, but they ought to owe us their protection for so many years because we can't handle ourselves when we're 2 or when we're 2 weeks old. So God really should have some responsibility there.
Add to that we're all sinners and we deserve to die yesterday.
What do you mean we're all sinners and we deserve to die yesterday? Your idea of sins is a bit ridiculous. Like anything that we do, that you can just say, oh, that's a sin, and let's clean your sins in the bathtub. Like, no.
And go to hell, the fact that we're even...
Okay, so you want to go to hell for eternity. Eternity burning! This is what makes me feel even more horrible about this religion and other religions, is that they think just because of something that happened on Earth, maybe something like just as something as like masturbating, for example. God doesn't like anything to do with sexual actions, so He'll send you for eternal burning in a pit of fire. You can never be let out, and He could just stand there and say He loves you. No, that's not how it works. It's like, how can you say you're just a right if you believe that?
Breathing today is sheer common grace from...
Common grace. Raping.
God. So, I could make the question harder. As it was stated, it doesn't feel hard to me because God was stated as the actor. But if I make it harder, I'll take longer than 3 minutes to answer the question, and you don't want me in this session. So I think my basic answer is the Old Testament and the New presents God as the one who has total rights over my life and over my death. The Lord
He gets entire rights. So if your mom has rights over you, she chooses to attack you in any way possible, assault you, rape you. Is that okay? Because she made you.
gave and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. How He takes away is His call. He never wrongs anybody.
John, how would you state it to make that question harder? And what would be your answer?
The question
to it?
makes it harder is that He commands people to do it. He commanded Joshua to slaughter people. Okay, so you got human beings now killing human beings.
Okay, so this is pretty obvious that God, you're making the claim now that Joshua was commanded by God. I feel like any of the Abrahamic religions were created by a bunch of people who decided that they wanted to control some land, and they decided they wanted to slaughter people in order to control that land, and they justified that by saying that God told them to, and then they told this lie or this thing to lots of people and they believed it. So they gained credibility, like Muhammad, for example, in the Muslim religion. He burned down houses because he was a pillager. He was a a king who wanted to control land. It's just like King Henry VII or any other of the figures of royalty. They wanted to control land. They were selfish, so they would acclaim this magical lord of the sky that is able any rights to command them, and whenever they do anything wrong, they can say that God commanded them to. So that stops them from being, sinned or being condemned for their actions by the people at the time.
And so now you've got a moral question for what is right to do. So the Bible says, thou shalt not murder. And God says to Joshua, go in and clean house, and don't leave anything breathing. Don't leave a donkey breathing.
I'm pretty sure that's murder on both the account of God if he's really there and the account of Joshua.
Leave a child breathing, a woman breathing, an old man or old woman or a donkey. Just wipe out Jericho. And so then my answer is, there is a point in history, a season in history, where God is the immediate king of a people, Israel. Difference in the way he is the king over the church, which is from all the peoples of Israel and does not have a political, ethnic dimension to it. So there was a political, ethnic dimension. He is immediate king, and he uses this people as his instrument to accomplish his judgment in the world at that time.
Okay, so you'll say it's just like any other evil character in a video game or a book or a film. They have like these minions that go and kill people for the deeds, to be able to not condemn the evil doer who commanded them, and also commanding other people to kill other people. I'm pretty sure that's called manslaughter, and you're commanding somebody else to kill somebody, but it's still upon your own judgment. So either God is doing manslaughter or Joshua is murdering people. What do you agree with? You're not going to say God does anything wrong, so you're going to say Joshua murdered people? But you can't say that if God exists in the first place. And this creates a paradox for you.
And God, it says, let the sins of the Amalekites accumulate for 400 years so that they would be full, and then he sends his own people in as his instruments of judgment. So I would vindicate Joshua by
You're not judging anyone by killing them.
saying in that setting, with that structure of people and God, it was right for Joshua to do what God told him to do, and that is...
It's just no. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to end it there. I hope you see where I'm coming from here, justifying this